Boys are back together. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Morning. I was waiting for more of a response there. I guess maybe I've had too much coffee or something compared to the rest of y'all. What have you been up to, Wags? We haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
Hey, I've been running around. I did a couple jaunts down to Florida. We got back from Fort Lauderdale. No fishing this time. This was strictly a pleasure trip. But I'm not a big fan of the east coast of Florida.
So the Space Coast.
I don't like that. I think it's a little bit dirtier. I think it's a little bit I like Gulf Coast side. I like doing that. I like watching them. Saw my dolphins. Took the jet skis out there. A couple sharks underneath me about long, 5 feet maybe.
Yeah, arm's length there for you.
And I don't care how big they are. They still freak the hell out of me. So
yeah.
I gunned it as fast as my little Yamaha could go about 55, and I was out of there.
See, that's where you and I differ. Like, to me, I love sharks. I think they're some of the most beautiful creatures on this earth. And I would just be watching, like, wow, it's amazing. That's so cool, you know?
Yeah.
As he eats you, and you're like, yeah. Like the whale or the wolves are really nice, too. They're pretty animals, too.
I got to think of the size, too, of that. I mean, that's a much smaller shark. It's going to do more damage to you than it is. I mean, it's not like it's not going to swallow you whole. As you mentioned, the whale guy, we talked about last week on the show, that I still don't know if I believe he was actually in a whale's mouth. It just seems too far-fetched for me.
I always, I didn't ever look into that anymore. I wanted to watch all those interviews and stuff, but you were saying that about the sharks. I have always had the mindset that if I go to Vegas and I win a substantial chunk of money, I'm going to do the swimming with the sharks at Mandalay Bay. I just think that would be so cool because they have the big aquarium. Yep. It's like, I don't know, it's like $1,000, I think. And they get you all upfitted and all that, and you actually do, like, I think it's snorkeling with them or scuba diving, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I would do that. I would definitely.
It's really not. It's real easy too because the waiver that you have to sign is just one line. If you die, and you can't sue me.
Yeah. Right? We are not responsible for your death.
One-line waiver.
Are you
release.
okay with that? Yeah.
I mean, you go to like Mexico and places, and they have places where you can swim with sharks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be smaller, black, like little black tips, a little reef shark stuff, something like that. Which I'll do that. So I think maybe next time I go to Mexico, I might do that. I think that'd be something. It's just kind of quirky and fun. Whatever I'd go and do, because I've done just about everything else. But you mentioned like doing the thing in an aquarium. I've never done the swimming with fish, but I've done penguins. I've fed and hung out with and like played with penguins. That was pretty freaking cool.
At the zoo here? Or
no,
where was it?
the National Audubon Aquarium in New Orleans.
Okay.
And I think it was super affordable too. I thought. I mean, again, in reference, super affordable when you think about what it is you're paying for the experience and everything.
Yeah.
I think it was like $130 a person.
That doesn't seem bad.
Oh.
No, and like it's limited spots. So basically it was me, my wife, and my mother-in-law, just the three of us did it. So it was really cool. It was like just the three of us and like these 4 penguins we were hanging around. And I mean, my wife refers to me as the dog whisperer, that I can get like just about any dog to love me. Apparently I'm also a penguin whisperer. Because I'm sitting there petting one of the little penguins, like she's like purring at me and like trying to like flirt with me almost. I'm like, okay, cool. But that was really cool, by the way, penguins don't like smell, look, feel like anything you'd ever imagine. Like you'd think like feather, right? Like, but it's not. It's almost like it just feels like skin, but they're feathers. It's kind of strange and weird.
Okay, so I expect you to update your profile now that you're penguin whisperer.
Penguin whisperer?
Yeah.
I could probably add that to something.
Yeah.
Although I don't think that's really useful in any way, shape, or form for anything in life.
It'll be the fun fact. It's a conversation starter.
Have you done I don't know where we were. We got off on our little skiff and we jumped into like a sandbar area and we fed the stingrays.
Oh, yeah. I've fed stingrays with my hand.
They hover over you and you hold it out. You just got to keep your hand flat to make sure no appendage is lost. You keep it flat and they kind of like vacuum it right up out of here.
Yeah.
We did that a couple of times.
I've never done a standing in water like that. That's cool. Like the tanks things you get like at a zoo or aquarium, something like that. I've fed that way, but I've never stood on a sandbar with them. That's cool.
And I bet you we were about this deep, and then they come by and you're feeding one or you're talking to one and another one rubs up against your leg and you're like,
yeah,
you're still a little freaked out.
Yeah, you're probably on high alert because you just got all these fish swimming around you.
Yeah. By the way, you can find us on our socials @On the Tailgate. It's Ritter, Wags, and Tasker. Great to have the boys back together again for this week on the show. And you brought up something, a text you sent me the other day, Tasker, that you wanted to talk about this week.
Yeah. We were kind of going back and forth, and we were talking about you had seen a couple deer, and then it got me thinking back to when I put cameras out last year. And I know that for us, we have kind of started, this will be our second year actually using cameras out in the woods. And so we're going up the last weekend of July. That was kind of when we did it last year. So then we'll have like 2.5 at least full months before the season starts. So we get some kind of good growth. We can kind of see some of their habits and stuff like that. I know some guys put them out a lot earlier. Do you put cameras out on your property?
I don't do it yet. I haven't. I wait a little bit.
Will you put them out this year, though? Yeah.
I will.
So when do you usually put them out?
I like it when I like to go out there. I usually do it when I'm ready to go and trim lanes and move stands. I'm not one of those guys that removes my stands. Again, remember, I have private property.
You're right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I don't remove them, and I know that's a good thing to do. Your straps, trees grow, vegetation takes place, but I usually leave mine in the same spot. And when I'm ready to go out there and start to trim, I'll look around and see some wear paths. If you go out into my woods right now, the canopy hasn't grown. It is full grown right now, but there's still a lot of green vegetation on the floor. That floor green vegetation generally leaves my woods probably like close to the end of July. So like you're on a pretty good timetable. So the end of July, it starts to burn out. And then I can actually see patterns. I can always see going up to my food plot, I can see doe runs, and then I can see a couple cross buck paths. But then I'll trim it up, and then maybe I'll put out my camera, especially when I'm walking in the woods when the green vegetation has gone off the floor. And if I see something or I kick something up, just to see, pretty much determined the routes already on my property. So it's not like I'm exploring and trying to figure it out like some people do. Generally, I'm probably about 90% positive, maybe 85% positive where they're going to come from and how they're going to move. But that's about the time I'll do it, as soon as that green vegetation's off the floor of the woods.
I think that's one of the key differences between public and private land. You talk about it, is that you have got years of surveying, and you kind of have this catalog that you can put in your brain of how the movements happen, and based on rainfalls and seasons and all this different stuff that can affect them. Whereas, public, you might not have that unless you've been hunting the exact same spot of public land forever. But not a lot of us public landowners do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I think, what you said, Ritter, is that, for us, I've sat in the same stand for the last 4 years now, I think. Same tree, same spot. My dad's always been in the same spot too. So I have all of the memories of where those deer came out of in that same area. So I kind of just remember that. But now that we actually had, like I said, last year was the first year that we did cameras, it was so cool just to have an idea of what was out there. We had this big, beautiful 8-pointer that I just thought about constantly then. And I'm like, I just want to be able to see that in the woods while we're out there. And then sure enough, you just never know what's going to come out. So, but it at least gives you an idea of what is out there and kind of what way they're moving. And we've got more now. I think my dad bought like a 4-pack of cameras. So we have at least a couple different that we're able to put out and try and tap into some other areas and just kind of get an idea of what's actually happening out there.
And you know what happened too last year? Remember, we had a very, very windy. If you don't go out there, like you said, if you don't set them up, and I think July is a great time to do it, because I got out there in a situation on the north side of my property and a couple trees had blown over. Paths have changed. Can't get through there. Almost like, when they say hinge cut to funnel the deer towards you, you can do that, again, on your private property. Mm-hmm. These were falling by nature, altering the path, making a stand that's already set obsolete. So then I had to go out there with a chainsaw, and it's good because when I go out there with a chainsaw and you saw it up, those fresh shavings tend to attract animals, deer intentionally, and they find their way through that. But yeah, you're right. It's a time to go out and look and kind of see what you have.
Yeah, that was the nice thing, because then you kind of get that mental inventory of what's actually happening, what's coming out, how many different bucks are out there, and you can kind of, not that I would probably wait just because we're on public land and we just don't have that many bucks in our area, but if we know that there's 4 or 5 bucks that are there that are walking in and out of there, maybe we don't shoot one the first time that we go up if that's the one that walks out. So
maybe you guys can both answer this for me, since you're both far more experienced whitetail hunters and both having the 2 scenarios. Is this the problem with me as a hunter, that sitting in a specific tree the same time, that's just not me. I'm so much more of a mobile person. As we talked about me even turkey season, I set myself up to be mobile, that I can move and try and follow things. That, like, to me, the thought of having like a private, like saying private land and having the same tree stand all the time. I don't know that I could do that. I like to move around a little too much, you know, and kind of knowing that the animals move a certain way that I can go to where they're going to be or try and cut them off in places and not have to sit and wait. Okay, are they going to come through today? Is this exactly the place? You know, am I in the right place now? Whereas if I know they're going to be somewhere, you know, I've seen them somewhere the last couple of days, if I can try and cut them off at that spot instead of being stuck to where I'm at.
Yeah, for me, I just find it as a comfort thing.
Okay.
Like I know exactly where I'm going. I know what my surrounding is. I know exactly where my dad is. And I guess, like I said, I have this memory of I kind of know where they've come from. I know where they've been moving through. So for me, it's a comfort thing. It's the place that we've been hunting for a number of years now. I would say that if I was in a private land situation, I bet I would have multiple different places that I would at least be able to kind of gauge that, and maybe early season is a better spot over here, and then spot B is better for late season. But, I mean, we just have always found comfort in this one specific area that we've had pretty good luck with.
I like that. I do like it. And I still, even though we have private land, or I have private land, very fortunate, I can still do it. There's things that change every year. I have to definitely make my mental note on what my agricultural crops are around me. When I have corn, and right now I have corn that's knee-high by the 4th of July, I know when I have a cornfield to the south and to the north, I get better deer. I get bigger animals. When I have beans, I have less. Do they come out of certain areas? They'll come from a water patch. He's got a water. I got water right to the east of me. I know how they'll come up. Do I look around as much as you do? Try to cut them off at the pass, maybe come up with my binoculars and look in a field and say, oh, they're all funneling to that northeast corner.
That's who I'm far more of the, spending some time glassing and watching and trying to figure it out that way.
Yeah, so I can still do it. I do miss that part. But again, the comfort level and the knowing that if I have to do something, regardless if it's baseball related or it's family related, I know that I can come out and I can adjust with the wind and I can go to a certain area like that. Not saying that I don't want to be unprepared. I love to.
Yeah.
I get a lot more solace out of just sitting and watching. I love it. I love hearing the squirrels come and bark at me. I love seeing stuff like that and different birds and stuff like that. So, for a time constraint purposes, going out and glassing is fun. I can do it to an extent, but I like also knowing with that comfort level, like you said, just going out and knowing exactly where I can go.
I've got a disturbing new trend in and on social media that's kind of had me concerned, especially over the last year. We'll get to what that is and talk more about it. I am host Sean Ritter. You can find me on socials at On Air Ritter. Joined in studio by the former major leaguer Paul Wagner, a.k.a. Wags. Eric Tasker as well, at ET5504. You want to find him on socials. The whole show is at On the Tailgate. We were talking about getting out and setting up cameras and some pre-whitetail hunting. Yes, it's June, and we're talking about whitetail season. But, I mean, any key to success is spending the time out in the field beforehand and setting yourself up for success. So I can't wait to see some pictures from your cameras there, Tasker.
I know.
Hopefully you get some bucks as big as the two that I encountered on my way into work the other day that whole spurred the entire conversation.
Yeah, and it's kind of feels like fall right now. I've been thinking that all week, that, it's cooler and...
Yeah, well, it's because we've been spoiled here in our area with, temps in the 90s, and then suddenly it's like, oh, they give you 70s again. You're like, oh, is it September?
Yeah, I just keep feeling like the leaves are going to start changing and that it's all moving faster. But I don't know. I'm excited about the fall.
I had my buddy just come down and watch the Brewer game before they went on the road, and he's a big muskie fisher up north, and he goes, oh, the weather's changing. He goes, when are you coming up here? The northern zones. You better be ready for the northern zone open. We're going to get the muskies. But so it's a crazy time with fishing, hunting, preparing. Everything we talk about is kind of just rolls together because we're in such a great place in the state of Wisconsin. Able to enjoy all the seasons, all the sporting, all the hunting, all the outdoorsmanship.
But the only place that I can think of off the top of my mind that's more of a sportsman's paradise is, well, the state that uses that slogan, the state of Louisiana. And the sportsman's paradise that is. Between all of the hunting and fishing of freshwater, saltwater, and all the just bounteous seafood they have there. We are pretty dang lucky here in the state. You're right.
Yeah,
we're the third coast. We got that third coast thing going that other states don't have. Been doing any time fishing, either of you, lately?
I haven't. Because like I said, when we were down there, I didn't this time. But
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you go somewhere and get in the salt and don't go fish. Like, that is, I love it here. Born and raised up here, fishing the Great Lakes and all that stuff. I love saltwater fishing. I love everything about saltwater. It is just, I think it was because it's different. I think if I lived it every day, it wouldn't have as like of a cool factor to me.
Yeah.
But the fact that we don't get that it's like anytime I get near some salt, it's like I'm fishing.
Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, I thought we were going to fish when we went up to the in-laws for Father's Day. We were going to do that, but it rained most of the day. So then we were just kind of inside and just played board games and stuff. But that was, I thought, my first shot that we were going to get out there. But, yeah.
I've not as much either as I had planned to or thought I was going to still. But, you know, we still got a lot of summer left. We're just finally getting the ball rolling with things. I mean, I've got a little guy at home, a wife in grad school, all that stuff. So you start to add up the time and, you know, it gets little to none. But I mentioned fishing because I found an article on this, and this is actually something I was going to like post about and talk about on my other show, was something I've seen on social media, and especially the last year, it has really boomed. If you follow any groups on Facebook, is the perfect example. There's all these fishing groups, which are great, you know, for bringing in new anglers and people getting involved in fishing. Have you seen a lot of these? What's this fish? Can someone tell me what this fish is? What is this? And it's pictures of like a dead fish or a fish in a kitchen. And it's like, what? Like, this is just, no. What do you, like, oh, I think of like hunting. Are you going to pull the trigger before you know what it is? Like, you know your target and what's beyond. Like, but apparently fishing is a completely different thing. Is this just people not knowing, or is this just a condition of new anglers getting involved? You think about, you know, the last year in the pandemic, so many more people have gotten involved in the outdoors or found themselves back into the outdoors because of things.
I would say a little bit of both, wouldn't you?
I mean, I would think it's got to be a combination of that.
But bringing in new people, enticing people to do things differently than it was before because of the situation that we've just come through, I think it's outstanding. And I like the fact that you use that Facebook, that group, whether it's fishing, boating, whatever groups you see, Whitetail, we have Wisconsin Rut Report, we have so many different ones. It's very nice because it seems like the administrators of these sites are very clear to the point where any question, there's no stupid question.
Right.
Don't mock and don't, once you start doing that, we're trying to gather people together in this time and to enjoy the outdoors and all these things. So the administrators have been policing it pretty good. So I didn't know if you were taking that angle where you're laughing at them or people are doing that. But why are these questions coming up? Are they being a smartass, or are they? I think it's seriously they're new and they want to ask
and
questions.
They just don't know. And because you think about it, how do you really describe a fish to try and Google it? I guess. And
that would be my first thought, was that instantly anything. Growing up, as I did, growing up with fishing and growing up and around it, you learned it and you knew it and you just studied it. I loved it. So it's like studying what all fish look like. And if anything seems slightly, a great example of something, take someone from the north here, in and around Wisconsin. Let's go down south and we'll go catch some spots. A spotted bass, they're going to look at that and be like, wait, is this a largemouth or is this a smallmouth? Because it's got the lateral line, looks just like a largemouth, except it doesn't have the big bucket mouth, and the mouth literally has then the stripes like a smallmouth. It's a pure hybrid of a largemouth smallmouth. It's not actually, but that's exactly what it looked like. You'd be so confused, like, is it a largemouth or a smallmouth? I don't know. There's actually 2 apps out there that I found that could fix this situation perfectly. One is called Fish Verify, and the other is Picture Fish. And it's exactly what you'd imagine an app would be. You've seen these things for plants, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I did. I got one of them.
What's this plant? It's exactly that. You can take a picture of fish, and it'll work through the algorithm within the app to tell you what it is.
So that sounds – so it must be like Google Lens or whatever that is, where you can just take a picture within Google, and it just like, I don't know, a street sign or whatever it might be. That's great, though.
I've had the plant one. I didn't know they had a fish one, but
that's exactly what I was getting to. Is that there's been this for plants, and I thought there's got to be this for fish. So I started looking and find there's 2 that I found, that Android and on Apple, that you can get. So maybe it's something that everyone should have. If you're doing anything in the outdoors, any kind of angling that you should. There's been times like bait fish situations even where sometimes it's hard to defer what the differences are. I know one fish species specifically that comes up that I've seen. I think Ranella did a whole show on it, or somewhere of him I saw, was talking about the big mouth buffalo, and how a lot of people would confuse that with like a sucker or a carp, and it's a completely different species.
Bottom feeder though, still?
Ish. Like it would look like it, but a big mouth buffalo, the mouth is more front leaning, So they'll actually feed surface.
Oh, okay.
Versus like a sucker, again, it's going to have the mouth at the bottom. So it'll look kind of the same as like a sucker / carp, except the mouth is more forward leaning, not to the bottom.
Is it a speared fish or is it a fish?
And that's the
fish?
thing. It's a fish that a lot of people will shoot with a bow or people will catch. And their numbers are like declining hugely. And some of these fish, they're like prehistoric, is the big mouth buffalo. You should look them up. It's pretty cool. I'm trying to think, what was it? It was the Netflix series. It was Brunello. It was Meat Eater. Steve Brunello did. It was their they do like little side project things that are just on Netflix. It was one of those shows that they were featuring that. And I was like, oh, I've known about those and caught those. I didn't realize how prehistoric they were and all this stuff, and then truly how close they are to other species.
Which brings up a good point with that. If you can take that picture, download that app. Maybe like for me, I've been fishing Wisconsin. I know the difference between a northern, a muskie. But if I go down to New Orleans, I don't know what the heck I know. Or if I'm going out west, if you're going into different areas, that app could be very, very beneficial to you. Up here, you'd think, well, why would I do it? I'm going to go fish on big sea, whatever. I'm going to go to Winnebago. I know what I'm going to catch here. I know what these are. But if you go somewhere else, that's where you're right. Maybe the education and that app would be very beneficial.
I'll give you one that is, well, two of the three are here, but there's plenty of the country where all three of these are, which is a hard one. A striper, a white bass, and a white bass and a white perch.
White perch?
Yeah, we had that a lot.
White perch and white bass look almost identical.
Almost identical. We had that issue. It's kind of sad that I'm thinking about this right now. The memories just came up. This would have been the week that we did our Lake Erie trip, and where we've done that the last 2 years. And that was a super common fish there. It just happens to be something that always hits the bait. And we would always have to ask our guy what was what because they look so similar.
Does a white perch? It's to me white bass and a white perch. Does it have more of a perch belly or how?
They literally look exactly the same. There's like a little bit of a yellow tinge on one part of the white perch that the white bass doesn't have, and then the stripes that are along the side, the stripes are broken up a little more. So you think that like they kind of like a digital camo, almost is what the stripes look like. So instead of being more straight, they're a little more kind of like jagged and split up.
Yeah,
is what you'll see on a white perch versus a white bass.
I probably have caught, didn't even know.
Probably. If you fished Lake Michigan at all, the Bay of Green Bay, you've probably, I guarantee, caught white perch. Might have been thought that they were white bass. Both are in there, but white perch, again, when you're perch or walleye fishing, incredibly common. And they're super aggressive, too, especially compared to the others. So, I just thought that was kind of something I wanted to bring up on the show. And, again, the whole plant identifying thing of how that's, technology, man. It's great, and it can help us out.
Big time.
So many different things. It's Ritter, Wags, and Tasker. If you want to hit us up on our socials at all, @On the Tailgate, or you can always text us. 799-0973 or 1973.
1973.
1973. See, I don't even know the number. Yeah. I don't even know what it is, but we'd love to hear from you at some point here. Before we get started on the show here, actually, this just happened within the room, and I'm kind of curious about this. Wags, you being a former major leaguer, and we were talking about injuries and stuff to athletes. Have you noticed at all? Well, first off, what injuries have you what surgeries have you had as a professional pitcher?
I had the Tommy John surgery, which is the elbow, the UCLA. I had to transfer. They actually took the tendon out of my left wrist. If you take your thumb and your pinky and you squeeze them together and you kind of like tilt them towards your head.
I hope you're not doing this if you're driving this morning,
right?
by the way.
So if you tilt it towards your face, you see this tendon right here?
Yeah.
Can you see that? That little thing that sticks out. It's absolutely useless in the human body.
Oh.
Absolutely useless. Weird. I do not have it. So like this. Can you see it? Can you see this right here? So right here, I don't have it. So they made a slit here, here, and here. And they cut that out. That's a hard tendon. They cut that out. And then they rewrapped, figure-eighted it in my elbow. And that's how they replace it. They can either do that with that. They can also go off of a cadaver. I decided to use my own. I thought that might be better. I don't want someone
keep it in the body.
I don't want some dead guy in my.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I had rotator cuff and a torn labrum. Not full tears. I think one was about 73%, and I didn't understand it, or maybe not percent. It's degrees. They kind of go on degrees. But it was kind of neat. It was neat to see it. Not neat to go through it.
Yeah.
But, neat to go through it. And he goes, "You want a video of your elbow?" And I said, "Absolutely not." And I'm very, very upset that I didn't. I did it with the renowned Dr. James Andrews down in Birmingham, Alabama. He did my elbow, who has now moved his practice to Florida. And matter of fact, one of his, I don't know what they're called, helpers, the guys that oversee it, study was the speed skater from Milwaukee, Dan Jansen.
Dan Jansen.
Yeah.
So Dan Jansen was working with Dr. Andrews when I was doing it. So again, I was drugged up. I think I met him. I think I said hello to him. Maybe I'm making all this out. Hell, maybe I'm making it all up.
Yeah.
No, he was down there. And then the shoulder, I did like I said, the labrum and the rotator cuff was done in New York by a renowned, mainly a shoulder guy named Dr. David Altchek. And he does a lot of tennis players and he does a lot of things like that. So, those are my two. Those are my surgeries, elbow and shoulder, both that a pitcher goes through. And unfortunately, I had to endure them both. But experience, you learn a lot about yourself. I tell you that much.
Now, fun fact, my wife spent 10 years doing exactly that. She was a surgical assistant working with a doctor, and she worked with Dr. Mark Wickman, who's the Admiral's team doctor.
Gotcha.
So she's done plenty of those surgeries of things. But what I asked you about it was we all have dings and pains and stuff. Have you noticed any of those injuries bothering you or preventing you from doing things in the outdoors?
Not for me, no. I guess my big thing, I tore cartilage in my knee in high school playing football, and that every once in a while flares up, but fortunately it's not anywhere to the point where it's a normal hindrance. And then I've got this broken pinky that I also broke like
Football?
3 years in a row in football. That
looks like a face
always
mask related situation.
Yeah. But I'm fortunate for that it's not ever been anything that has like kept me from doing stuff. I completely remodeled our bathroom by myself last year, and ever since then, I think like all of the torquing, I've been getting some tendonitis in my elbow, so I have like some loss of strength with that. But it's never, it doesn't take much to cast a lure or pull a bow back, and it's not any of that is actually like stopping me from doing anything. So fortunately, no, for me.
This is really when we shot at. This will be my second year with because of my shoulder injury, I've always used a crossbow. So it's the first time I was able to pull a bow back, and that's why if you remember when we first got to buck rub, maybe in between or before or after, I had him adjust the weight, the poundage on mine.
Oh yeah.
The only way I could do it was at 45 pounds. And I've become a little bit stronger over the last year and a half, and now he torqued it up to about 53 pounds, I think, is what he pulled it down at. So, yeah, it really did. I couldn't come back. There was clicking. I couldn't get up. I had to use the crossbow. So I'm very excited that this will be my second full year using it whitetail hunting. And I've always been and now so many people are saying, why would you use a compound? You can use a crossbow. I go, I've been using a crossbow forever. I want to shoot the right way.
Yeah.
They're all getting old. My buddies are getting older. They're going, hell, we just shoot crossbows now.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, to me, there's something that's, and I say this all the time about like shooting 3D archery and just archery in itself. There's a Zen yoga-like state to it.
The best.
That that's what I think is so attractive about it versus a crossbow. And I'm not bashing anyone that shoots a crossbow or not trying to be elitist in any way, shape, or form, but that's where, to me, I think shooting a compound or a recurve type bow, it's different. That there is something more special to it. Again, and I'm not trying to, but there's just that, a crossbow, you crank it back and it's no different to me than shooting a rifle.
Right.
Whereas, like you said, it's the drawback, and there's so many more, mechanical parts and set and, focus and that just go along with it.
And so many people used to say to me, oh, I got the full draw, and then he wouldn't move. And I'm like, let off. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because I never did it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I literally experienced that 2 years ago, my first year. He was coming right behind this big oak tree, and I drew back, and I literally got, because I only had 45 pounds, so it was a little bit easier. I was literally, I know you can't see this, but I pulled back, I was on him, and then he stops, and I'm like, I hadn't practiced doing the jolt back. So I literally went like this. I kept it down.
But you can't see it. We can't. I'll describe. Wags is holding his bow down near like his knee and crotch and trying to pull. Yeah, holding it at full draw down around his waist area.
And then he never came back. Then he went back the other way. And I'm like, oh, now I know what everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that is way too funny. By the way, no shame in the game of shooting 45 pounds. I don't know where things like that ever came from. And I know you shoot 70 pounds, Tasker. But the whole thing of like, I have to have the heaviest poundage drawback. And like, I feel like maybe this is some weird internet thing. And, all the people that are out there that, here's my stats. I 28-inch draw, 70 pounds, shoot an arrow that shoots 600 grains, blah, blah, and it's like, it's this mine's bigger concept.
Yeah.
Really, if you
so unnecessary.
If you start looking at the stats, like, okay, so I shoot a Bowtech Revolt. So it's like, I'm going to call it like around, it's called 320 feet per second if I were to shoot it at 60 pounds, right? I drop it back to 56, I think I shoot with mine, and it's only shooting like 312 feet per second. Oh. What's really the difference?
Yeah.
You're shooting an animal at 40 yards. There's no difference.
Yeah. Right.
If it was 70 pounds, it, would be slightly faster. But really, again, what's the difference? It's such a minute amount. It makes no difference. So if, you got to shoot a bow or you want to take it down and shoot lighter because you're more comfortable and you can hold it for longer, do it. Don't ever feel bad about that.
Yeah. It's so silly. And my bow is just at 70 pounds because that's just, I bought it that way. I didn't go in with any intention of it being 70 pounds. And that's just what it's always been. I don't know that I would have a problem shooting any lighter, but then you got to change your setup and everything.
Yeah.
But
which we talked about before. That's why as I continue to think about it, we talked about it with the turkeys and missing my turkey. It had to have been the reason why I shot over. I don't know. I didn't think I'd miss a turkey. And then I was talking about when you weren't here. I said, remember, I go, man, I remember when you were shooting, I was like, oh, okay, you're shooting the target. Oh, how hard is that? And then I went right above his legs like we talked about. I shoot 5 inches. I go, what the hell? What the heck happened? I go, it must have been because I jumped 8 pounds. Obviously, the trajectory set up, and I didn't adjust my pins. I didn't know how to do that either. I never had it. I always had a scope on the crossbow, so I could do this and, just weather it out just like you do with a rifle scope. Now I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to take it back. I have the Matthews. I shoot the Matthews Tri-X, and I may have to go. I gotta go have them
take a look at it.
Take a look at it.
Sounds like you need to spend some time at the range and do some shooting and sighting in, which I need to get back and do anyway because I want to work on a couple of things.
Happy to go anytime. Should we go?
Right. By the way, speaking of Buckrup, not to give them all the plugs in the world, but they just opened their outdoor 3D courses all set to go, which is one of my favorites. Yeah. So. Got to get out there really soon. In fact, I still got to pick up some arrows out there that I left the last time that three of us were there.
Fletcher.
Yeah. That was before turkey season. That's how long it's been. I feel bad. I haven't looked at my bow since turkey season. It was beforehand, getting ready, and then I took it out with me all the days of turkey season. In fact, I still have my turkey broadheads on my arrow, just in my. I have not opened my bow case since I put it in the bow case in the parking lot after hunting the final day of turkey season for me.
And I think we talked about that too. That's another thing I didn't do. Why did I miss? I didn't buy turkey broadheads. I shoot the Rage. I shoot the Expando. I just use my normal.
Which you can. You can use regular whitetail broadheads. There's nothing wrong with that.
But I did see it. So I'm walking in there like we were talking about Fleet Farm and all the things that were missing, kayaks and fishing gear and stuff like that. I just went over and looked and I'm like, man, maybe I should do that. And then I look at the price. I go, $59. I'll shoot the whitetail broadheads.
Yeah, I shot. I've got the Rage turkey expanders. Just for turkey, I wanted to be able to have that extra,
That gives it like 2 3/4. I think that's a 2 3/4 split.
Exactly. So that's what I'm shooting. The 100 grain Rage turkey expanders, and I'm only going to shoot turkeys. With them whitetails, I'll be shooting Mangus broadheads. So.
Yeah, I love that, though. I'm glad you said that about just finding that zen with just going out and shooting 3D. I just love that so much. Last year when we were all still at home, I ended up just setting up. I think I probably had like a 20-yard shot from my patio or my deck to the back corner of our yard. So I just put my target back there, and I made it a goal to just go out and shoot like 50 arrows a day. It was so nice just to step away from my computer, go out in the back. So easy to get set up, and you just send a couple arrows, go back and forth a couple times, and it always brought me like a stress relief and a calm, and it felt so good just to be able to do that. and to be able to just go out and send some arrows, and it's just that repetition.
Mm-hmm. Do you, when you do that, do you just go off flat? I mean, like we're turkey hunting, I understand that. But for me, when I first started 2 years ago, and you can box this out. I don't know if Buck Rub's our only sponsor, but I went to Whale's Tails.
No, we're open to everybody and anything, man.
So I was at Whale's Tails.
There is no sponsor. You want a sponsor, you get a hold of us. That's where we're at with this.
Yeah, so I was Whale's Tails. So he said to me, he goes, you got an extra? I go, yeah, I have the ability to do it. So I actually shoot off an elevated. I put up a stand right back by the barn, by the backside of my shed. And the girls can drink, and they can have, they can put the grill going on, and they can have the music on. And I just climb up the tree, and I'm always shooting down in obviously a safe spot. But I don't shoot straight. I always shoot down, and
which
that's
is good.
What they told me.
It's actually that same concept as when you were talking about me getting ready for turkey season. What was I doing? I was sitting my butt on the ground. I was literally sitting on the ground. Because that's the situation that I was either going to be on my knees or sitting, when I'm out hunting turkey. So I wanted to get used to, get the repetitions, and get the feel for shooting from that position. If you're going to, hunt from a tree stand, I feel that shooting from that elevated position or shooting from a stand is more beneficial because that's how you're going to shoot. Shooting down is different than shooting straight.
Yeah. And I relate that to everything. So that's kind of what it made sense when he said that to me. If I'm a basketball player and I'm going to practice free throws, I'm not going to practice at 10 feet with an 8-foot hoop. I'm going to practice what I'm doing. If you're a football, you're going to do things that, you practice what you're going to do. And I think that's so ideal. The biggest thing, though, that you had mentioned before is that you wear kind of the clothes that you're going to wear. I don't want to go out there in shorts and a T-shirt, or if it's really hot, I just got a pair of shorts. I got my swimsuit on. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And setting the beer down, okay, I'm shooting. No, you ain't going to be drinking in the stand, and you're not going to be wearing your swimsuit. So
you might be hungover in the stand.
But... So you better put your safety strap on.
If you're just on flat and slinging arrows, getting reps, and working on building strength, like you were talking about, Tasker, I'm all for that. But the reason again, like I'm wearing my binocular harness and things like that, is again that's an obstruction. That's something that's on you that could get in the way of a draw or something, and that's just getting used to that, to know your limitations and know. How you're going to do things. So,
and you start to think when I watched him, you kind of grasp it and you're like,
that
makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My dad is, my parents are in Germantown, and usually I'll drive down by him and we'll go to Land Quarry Park. Because they have, I don't know if you guys have ever shot there, but they have like up to 100 yards that you can shoot. They've got bales, and they've also got an elevated platform. So they've got like a stand where you can climb up, like a 2-story kind of a thing. So you can actually shoot down on an angle as if you were in a tree stand. That's so nice. Then you kind of get both, and you have all of the room in the world. So no matter how far you want to shoot, I mean, I don't know anybody that's shooting more than 100 yards. So that's such a nice place. It's like whatever, $5 or whatever to get in, but
it's never that crowded, because whenever I come down the hill, you look over and if I'm going that, I'll look over on the right hand side and I'll see it. It looks really nice. Yeah. There's also one on Brookfield Road between Capitol and Blue Mound, where remember that old Perkins is, right where Blue Sombrero and all that stuff is?
Yep.
You take that road, I think that's Brookfield Road. You take that down. Once you go to the railroad tracks, they have a public range too, and I believe there may be a drop box there, or it's just free for the taking. So it's very, very nice.
Good to know. I have to file that away in the back of the mind.
Yep.
Where this whole idea of hunting and getting ready for hunts and wearing the things and prepping yourself came from, this is back to my old waterfowl days. When it would get to be the month of August, getting ready September 1st in early goose season, we'd all go out, my group of guys, and we'd start shooting 5-stand from our layout blinds. Because, again, that's the same thing. Yeah. You can stand around and shoot a shotgun, but when you're actually in the field hunting geese or whatever, you're going to be laying in a layout blind. So start getting used to
that's kind of crazy.
Sitting and shooting. But when we literally we would all be laid down with our blinds closed, our shotguns, everything set, have one, it would be 6 of us would go, so 5 would all be laid out. The 6 would be standing there with the triggers, and it'd be pull, and he'd fire the triggers from off in the stand, and we're laying and, popping out and taking our shots that way to get used to that.
Yeah.
And I just always took that with me, as it was best to prepare yourself for something by doing that. In angles, you don't think about it, man. I'm telling you, as a guy that's getting in kayak angling, it is different setting a hook sitting in a kayak than it is standing. there is an
Without a doubt.
adjustment
Yeah.
to setting the hook when sitting than there is standing, big time.
Speaking of that, I don't have to go too far off subject. So my daughters got the kayaks. We rented them. We have one kayak. We rented them from Sherpers over there in Oconomowoc. And I'm like, oh, good luck. Well, if you actually come over to the launch, they actually have a plastic cradle.
I've seen those.
Very nice. Excuse me. Very, very nice. You put it in the cradle and you can get in. It's like even a fat guy like me, even a guy like me can jump in.
It's so nice.
And I'm not going to tip. It's very, very friendly, especially for beginners in my case, and my daughters who are just casual kayakers to go out there. Very, very stable. You can get in there, set yourself, get used to everything, and it just takes you off. It's very,
Yeah, and
very
there's like notches for
Correct.
your paddle then. So you can either pull forward and get out or push backwards. Super nice.
And it has a roller on it, but the rollers, you would think that they were very loose, and you're like, oh, they're not.
But
you
they're
do
not.
have to give a little bit, so very, very stable. I got excited
Yeah.
because I was like, oh my
That's-
gosh,
that
you're
is
not gonna
really
get hurt.
nice.
I think more places are going to start. When I was up in Door
Doing
County a couple weeks ago and was talking with one of the guys who was running the launch, there was the county launch there. And I was taking my kayak in and up out of the regular boat ramps because that's what it is. He said they're actually going to be installing a kayak launcher.
Nice.
Good.
Or, a couple lanes of kayak launchers. I'm like, good. I've said on this show before and I've said in other places, I think kayak angling is kind of the next big thing in angling because it opens up to so many more people with different budgets. I actually have got a video that I broke down the whole thing because someone had commented on, you brought up my TikTok. Someone
Yeah.
commented on my TikTok about something about, I bet that you've got more money stuck into this kayak than I do in my John boat that hauls all my gear and 3 other guys. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe you might have bought a $800 John boat. Cool. Like I get it, whatever. I spent more on my kayak, but in the long run, I'm spending a hell of a lot less on gas. I don't have to pay for maintenance.
Right.
I don't have to pay for insurance. I don't have to have a truck.
Worry
I don't have-
about storage.
Exactly. You start adding up all this stuff. I'm coming out in the long run a hell of a lot better off than where you are with your John boat. I'm sorry, man. Like I give you credit, whatever. Yeah, I spent a little more up front, but in the long run, I'm going to come out better. And I think a lot of people are going to start to see that. You can put a kayak on a car, truck, van, SUV. You don't have to buy a vehicle to tow it specifically, and everyone can do it. Tips for getting into it if you have to do it in the water. Easiest way, you get in sideways. You don't try and climb in, so you put your kayak like angled. Instead of if you're on the shore and looking at it, don't look straight at the kayak. Turn the kayak so it's 90 degrees to you.
Yeah.
Take your paddle in one hand, and then you're going to kind of either put one foot in or lean one foot over the other side, using your paddle to hold you up till you pull yourself into it, and so your paddle holds straight. Stick your paddle into the ground basically, and that's so you use your paddle as a brace into the ground, can get you in, and then just pick your paddle and off you roll.
Yeah.
And as you do it more,
Interesting.
you guys know how to do it. I mean,
you get the experience,
For me,
right?
yeah, I'd be like, well, what the hell am I? What's this guy doing?
I just don't want to ever fall out in the middle of the lake. Let's just not worry about how to get
that
back
story
in.
is a whole other episode on our podcast channel. It's another one. You can check it out on the iHeartRadio app. But we'll wrap it here for this week. Any plans in the upcoming week or so before we get going next week for you guys to get in and out in the outdoors?
Well, Saturday we have a full day at UW Lacrosse.
Move-in day. Is it move-in day?
No.
Move-out day. Move-out day. I forget what year it is.
State track meet.
Oh.
So 4x200. So we're going to be traveling. And then Sunday we're finally going to be able to do Father's Day with my dad. So, and then watching the Bucks on Friday night. I mean, I feel like I'm not going to get outside this weekend again. But
Well, it's okay. It's a good weekend because it's supposed to rain.
Crappy
Yeah.
weekend.
We have to clean out my daughter's graduation party will be July 17th. And believe it or not, I still actually, so my barn or my shed is pretty big, but it's more of like a store, but it's more of like a drinking barn. And
Party barn.
we went
Like
in
that.
there
Love
and
that.
Every
we
Wisconsinite should have a party barn.
and we still have some Christmas decorations up. So I do take all my Christmas trees. I do all my Christmas trees are real, and I take them out on the property and I set them up and I try to make them as little rabbit holes and stuff like that, rabbit shut. But so the trees are definitely out, so they're not, the bristles and the needles aren't all over the place. But my little stand is still there with dried ring water. I have a lot of cleaning to do before July 17th, and what better to do it on a rainy weekend?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
planning to head up to Oshkosh and fish Lake Winnebago for a bit this weekend, but I don't know. The weather, if it's going to be windy, I hate to even get involved in Winnebago because that lake can turn so quickly on you, and being in a kayak, it's
Yeah.
a little more challenging. And let's face it, I I've fished in days where I've spent 8 hours in a tournament getting wet. If I don't have to sit and get wet, I'm not really in the, I can catch a fish anytime. I don't have to go out there and just get wet for it. So
they'll be there on the next sunny day.
They did cancel the Bago Bash. There was a Bago Bash, not the main one that's out. They moved that from Butamore to, I think, Lake Poygan in the Berks Bay. But the one that was supposed to be this weekend, they did postpone it, and they moved it to July 24th, I believe, which is Saturday, due to the weather and the bad weather projected.
Speaking of real quickly before we wrap, again, I feel like we're trying to wrap forever. Did you guys hear about the kid, the Appleton East High School student that said that he would swim across Lake Winnebago? He raised $50,000 for leukemia, lymphoma.
No.
He raised $55,000. Wednesday, he took the swim 10 miles across from Oshkosh to Shorewood. Or Sherwood, whatever. Sherwood.
And he did it.
Yeah.
Completed.
Absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
What was the time?
I didn't check on exactly that, but just the fact that he said he would do it, swim 10 miles across Lake Winnebago.
It's got to be a couple hours.
Yeah.
Winnebago, too.
You figure an Ironman swim is 2.4 miles.
That's an impressive feat. And you've done the Ironman.
I did Ironman, yeah. So my swim was like 120 something.
What the hell's wrong with you?
That's exactly.
Yeah, I haven't worked out since then.
Like, you know what? If I can't even say I'm running 26.2 miles if something's chasing me. Really, after a mile, I'm just giving up anyway.
Yeah, that's why I asked that.
When we did the sport, when I go over and do the sports show with Brian Butch, me and Butchie were talking with John Kuhn about running and stuff like this, and people have these stickers. I literally went out and bought a bunch of 0.0 stickers.
0.0 stickers.
I haven't put it on the back of my truck, but 0. Why? What are you running for? Unless you're getting chased because you're getting eaten.
Yeah, I'm giving up after a mile anyway. Hell with it. It's not worth it anymore at that point.
I got to run with slow people.
All right. Well, we'll catch you next week right here. This is Tailgate Talk.